What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Rice Kill Eat podcast. Thank you for listening today. And I got to tell you, I got a good one planned out for you today. So today, my guest is Jeremiah Doughty. So Jeremiah is a well-known wild game chef that spends his time cooking for his family at home, and he's using that as a platform to really share his ideas and his thoughts on hunting and how we should treat animals and how we should view them as a resource for food. And as I had a really interesting conversation with him in today's episode, I'm really glad I get to share that with you guys because we get into all kinds of really cool, awesome stuff. So we touch on topics from anywhere from hunting in California, because California has some, I guess, more unique things that are going on around the whole idea of hunting in California. We get into society's basic disconnect from their food. We get into all kinds of topics. And one of my favorite parts of this conversation was whenever he mentions cooking some wild game meats that aren't necessarily typically thought of. So I'm really excited for you guys to hear that, and really excited to hear your thoughts on that, and looking forward to being able to share that with you today. But before we get into that, I want to make sure you guys knew a couple things. So right now, if you go to rkeafield.com, you'll see that we're having our Freedom Sale. So our Freedom Sale is an annual sale that we have in order to celebrate Independence Day. So we usually have it in the end of June, running through the beginning of July, and it's a celebration of this great nation that we live in. So if you go on there and you check it out, it's the Freedom Sale at rkeafield.com. You'll see that all of our items, all of our products are priced either at $17.76 or less. So $17.76 or less. And it's just, again, our way of just kind of celebrating this great country that we live in. Also, if you haven't checked out Digital Campfire is a great resource for both new hunters and seasoned hunters. And it's something that is ran by Colin Cottrell. I had Colin on last week. And if you haven't listened to that, go back, check that out, listen to that one. He gives a great description on what the Digital Campfire is. If you are interested in the Digital Campfire through Activate the Hunt, then you can check that out and request more information at jointhecampfire.com. And when you go to sign up, use promo code RKE. So we've partnered with Colin and his Activate the Hunt movement, and it's something that we can really get behind because he's doing this in a way to share information and to kind of cut down that learning curve that so many people may not be able to overcome whenever they are wanting to get into hunting. So we see a lot of late onset hunters that are getting into hunting much later on in their life. And Colin has put together this Digital Campfire as a way to kind of help these new hunters get into hunting and give them the resources that they need. So if you are interested in Digital Campfire, again, you can go to jointhecampfire.com and use promo code RKE. So that's RKE as in Rice Kill Eat, and check that out. All right. And if you haven't subscribed to the Rice Kill Eat podcast, go ahead and do that, because I have some really awesome episodes, including today's, planned out for the month of July. And I'm really looking forward to being able to share those with you guys. So I don't want to make sure that you guys don't miss out on anything that is Rice Kill Eat podcast. All right. So go ahead and subscribe today. Leave us a rating. The ratings, again, you've heard me say it just about every episode, I'm sure, but ratings are how podcasts are able to get out there, and they're able to build that momentum. And leave us a rating, and it really, really helps us out. And leave us a review if you want to. We've had some really nice reviews on there, and those are very much appreciated. Those do not go unseen. I read all those, and it really allows me to see where this podcast is going, where the show is going. It really allows me to hear your all's voice. So go ahead, leave me a rating, leave me a review, and it would be very much appreciated. So thank you guys again for listening. And I really think you guys are going to enjoy Jeremiah's talk today. Again, he is a well-known chef that has taken his message, literally internationally, he's taken his message to other places. He's been online. He's been featured just about everywhere that you could see wild game chefs being featured. And Jeremiah is a really, really cool guy, and he really shares the meat and potatoes on all things wild game cooking. So if you are into cooking, or if you are wanting to get into cooking, or if you just like listening to good conversations around hunting, then you picked a good episode to start on. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys get right into it. And this is my conversation with Jeremiah Doughty from Field to Plate. All right. I'm glad you were able to take some time to do this. I appreciate it, man. I didn't realize you were in Southern California. So
I'm in hunting capital of the world.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
I refer to it as. My daughter's had swim lessons and art class, a bunch of other stuff, and I was like, I'll be home. Literally 11 miles from her swim team. It took me 45 minutes.
Golly, that's crazy, man. I live in a little small town here in Kentucky, and the only traffic jams that we see are whenever we get behind a tractor. So, whenever somebody's out harvesting crops or whatever, that's about the only time we see some traffic. Maybe some construction every now and then, but that's really about it.
Man, I would die for that if my wife wasn't a Southern California girl.
Is that what?
To move to Idaho and Montana, she's like, well, they have winter.
Yeah, you don't really get that a whole lot in Southern California, do you?
It's like 60, and that's when all the chicks bust out their Uggs and sweaters.
That's winter down there, isn't it?
That is winter. And if it gets like below 50, it's like stay inside, don't go driving, order pizza.
That's crazy. That's ideal weather around here. I mean, that's good hunt weather. That's when it starts getting cold like that. Yeah, that's when it's time to get out in the tree stand.
You can always tell when the tourists show up because it's 65 and they're in sandals and shorts, and the locals are all in Ugg boots and sweaters and sweatshirts and hoodies and beanies. And you're like, you must be from Utah.
Well, that's awesome. I appreciate you taking the time to.
Sorry, it took a while to get on, but
no, it's all good. It is what it is, and you got a lot going on. And I think I read somewhere that are you a stay-at-home dad? Is that right?
Yeah, stay-at-home dad and do this full time. So during the summer, I tell all the companies sorry, I quit my day job and I stay at home and take care of the kids because my wife absolutely loves her career, and so if I can pursue my career and she can pursue hers, then. But I do 99% of fatherly duties.
That's awesome. I'm kind of a little bit jealous of you there because, kids that they're a hassle. I mean, they are what they are, but at the same time, I love being with them. I've got two of them myself. I've got a 5-year-old little boy, and then I've got a 3-year-old little girl. And just being at home with them and being able to spend that time with them is pretty awesome. Being able to do that. So that's great that you're able to do that full time.
Yeah, I mean, I worked in the restaurant business beforehand, and so I didn't have any weekends, any holidays, management-style stuff. So you'd go in at noon, and you wouldn't get home until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. To go from that to you take them to school every single morning except for when I'm traveling on trips or hunting or something like that, and picking them up for school and having dinner on the table, and the wife gets home, like, I don't know, just a nice role reversal. And a lot of women make fun of us or fun of my wife and guys, and I'm like, dude, it works for us, and my wife makes more money than you do in your job, so shut up.
Right, yeah. I mean, I think that role reversal is something that you don't really see a whole lot of, but it's something that I can definitely respect. That's awesome that you guys are able to do that, and you're able to do it without worrying about what other people are saying to at least letting it affect you and that kind of thing. I think it's really awesome that you're able to provide the meals and cook at home, and she comes home and, good to go from there. That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
So you're in Southern California right now. And, whenever I think of Southern California, I don't quite think of hunting. So what in the world has gotten you into hunting? Who introduced you, and when was that? How did you get into hunting?
Yeah, I mean, California's got a rich hunting heritage. A lot of it's Northern California. Because Northern California it's a different state altogether, I can tell people. But Southern California, we actually have one of the best waterfowl hunting in the entire nation. We're in the end of the Pacific Flyway. We're right on the border of Mexico, and so all those wintering ducks actually land in our area. They don't really make it all the way down to Mexico. And so bird hunting is a huge Southern California thing. So born and raised, I was raised a bird hunter. If it flies, it dies mentality since I was 8 years old. Where I remember going down the river and hunting dove in 116-degree weather, and that's all we hunted. But that was our hunting. And if you ask hunters in Southern California, you a hunter? I'll say, yeah, I'm a bird hunter. And so that is where I got started. That's how I got introduced, was just going out there with my dad's friends and my uncles and my dad and my sisters, going out chasing dove in the desert. And from there, it progressed into more birds because dove season only lasts for 2 weeks. And I have the itch. And so I taught myself how to quail hunt, how to chucker hunt, how to pheasant hunt. When I turned 18, I taught myself how to duck hunt and really got into that addiction, because that's what it is. Everyone always says they want to get into duck hunting. I said, make sure you've got a lot of money. And then taught myself how to turkey hunt. Became a really avid turkey hunter. Got my dad involved in all that. So my dad and I just became bird hunters. And then 11 years ago now is when I got into big game. I didn't even start big game until I was in my late 20s.
Oh yeah, so you were kind of a late bloomer as far as the big game stuff goes.
Oh yeah, just because California, it's so hard. I mean, you've got Southern California. They sell a tag down here. They sell 6,000 tags, and I think they have a 2% harvest rate.
Dang.
So guys call themselves deer hunters, and they've never ever seen a legal buck. But guys still put in for tags. Guys still go out. Guys still hunt. Guys still pursue. And so it's very difficult. And when you do get one of those hunters that's successful, a lot of it's on private land. The public land here is really hard. Like opening day of deer season down at the local Cleveland National Mountains above San Diego, you'll drive down one road, you'll count 100 trucks, 200 trucks,
Dang.
all going into the same 30,000 acre BLM. So there's no way that all those guys are going to shoot deer. I mean, they're going to push deer out so no one shoots deer. So it was never really. I did it once or twice. I was like, this is stupid. This is pointless. But being allergic to beef, it really thrusted me into understanding how to big game hunt and how to do it effectively.
Did they ever get to a point where, they would only allow so many people to go in and hunt at a time? Like almost like an application process? Just so, some people would have some success?
And a lot of it is draw, but they'll still give out 1,500 draw tags. And so I love my state to death, but I think it's ran by idiots. I can say that honestly. Like California is one of the most gorgeous, diverse, beautiful states for wildlife and pristine rivers and lakes and mountains and beaches. It's gorgeous. Nowhere can you go from the beach to the mountains to the desert all in a day and surf, motorcycle ride, and snowboard. You can't do that. But the problem is that our conservation aspects, they look at it from a standpoint of like, they cut out all doe hunting, except for there's like 3 or 4 tags where you can hunt does with archery only. So we've got an infestation of does around and young bucks. And then they made it so you have to shoot, it has to fork on each tine. So our antlers have to fork on our mule deers or our blacktail. And then it becomes a legal deer. Well, most of our deer are forking at a year and a half years old.
Yeah.
And so everyone's going out there shooting 1.5-year-old bucks, not allowing bucks to breed with more does. So you get does that are older who aren't breeding and not dropping fawns. Well, if they're not dropping fawns, there's no more bucks to be had. And if there are, then there's a lot of inbreeding because he might be breeding with his sister or his mom because there's no other males in the area that are legally taken. So you might up in the Sierras and the higher mountains, you're getting big, beautiful mule deer because it's a lot more land to cover. But down in Southern California, our forests aren't really forests. They're more of like a burrow forest, desert meets forest type aspect. And so there's really not much cover. You might randomly get that big giant buck that comes in, but for the most part, it's going to be small little forkies. And our Conservation Act just they don't get it. Like even in like Alabama, they have that fork law, but they have to be so many inches on each tine to shoot. So a fork is great, but it has to be at least like a 2 or 3 year old fork because that's how the antler is going to grow. And if you do get one of those super jakes in a sense, like you would in turkeys, it's hard. It's very, very hard. And our state just keeps giving out more and more tags and more guys buy them. But we're really going to be in for a rough hit here with the whole ammo law and stuff that's changing here July 1st. So yeah, I think a lot of guys aren't going to be hunting too much in California just based on you're not going to be able to get ammo for it.
Right. What's going on with that? That's actually not something I'm necessarily familiar with. What's going on with the ammo law?
So since we really can't push any more gun laws, they're going after ammunition.
Okay.
They're going after. So starting July 1st, we're going to have a background check for all ammo purchased. We'll no longer be able to buy and bring ammo in from out of state. No out of state, no non-Californian can buy ammo in the state of California. All of our ammo has to be lead free, so steel, copper, tungsten. So of course that makes prices go way up. Where you could buy for dove hunting, you can go buy a box of Federal for $4.
Yeah.
Now the cheapest box of steel is $18.
Man.
You can't, those guys that usually only dove hunt, they're not going to dove hunt anymore. I've talked to a lot of guys who are like, I just can't afford it. I go through 5 or 6 boxes dove hunting a season. They're like, I can't go spend another $300 on ammo just to go hunt dove. And so I think it's going to really hurt that aspect of it, just for the fact that we can't bring in, or we can't buy, we can't ship in anymore. I can't buy it from cheapammo.com and have it shipped to my house anymore. I have to get shipped to an FFL, and the FFL then I have to pay a fee at the FFL for them to accept my ammo, and then it's $1 per background check. If you don't have a gun registered under your name, it's a $19 background check. So I can't have my wife go in and buy me ammo anymore when I'm out of town. Like, hey, there's a sale, because it'll cost her $19 for a background check on top of ammo sales, on top of everything else. There's a minimum of how many you can buy. So, like, you can go in and buy 4 boxes, but you can't buy any more than that. And since it's all going to be in a database, you can't go from store to store to store. You're in a database now. You were ran for 4 boxes. So it's going to be really tough, and it's going to be really hard, because you come hunt out of state, you can't bring in your own ammo, but you can't buy your own ammo. So an outfitter has to buy your ammo, but then an outfitter is going to charge you more because they're going to be charged, and they can't buy ammo because it's going to be under their name with a background check. And so I think it's really going to hurt in the long run. They're going to see it. But man, like I said, I love my state, but it's ran by people that just don't get it.
Man, that sounds like a mess, and it's going to be a mess in the future too. I mean, that's a lot of money that people are going to have to dish out just for the sake of, like you said, just dove hunting. Something that's normally going to cost somebody, I know, like around here, you can get for a resident tag in Kentucky, for a resident tag for migratory bird and hunting license, you can get everything for around like $30. I mean, that's a combo fishing and hunting permit. And then, you go, like you say, go to the store and spend $5 on, 7.5 shot dove shot. And then, I mean, you're, $35, $40 into it, and you're out hunting. I mean, that's the cost of 2 boxes of shells there in California.
Just alone for our hunting license, without adding anything onto it, just to be able to hunt predators and non-game species, and not even all predators, just coyotes, I think it was $47 this year. $9 added on, you can hunt your upland game birds and your wild turkey. But then you got to, everything is like a la carte. So you want to hunt bobcat, it's so much money. Per pig, it's so much money. Per deer, it's so much money. We can only get 2 deer tags. So it's like, you look at all these things, you get a first and a second deer tag. And so some of these other states where you can go out there and you guys can fill your freezer.
Yeah.
By shooting a bunch. I know, like, I have a lot of friends in Tennessee and Kentucky and all this stuff. You can go out and shoot as many does as you want.
Yep.
You guys get like 9 to 10 does a season or something like that.
Yeah, they just increased it just this past season. They increased the count.
Right, and so you guys can go fill freezers, where for us, it's going to cost us $400 just to go shoot 2 deer. And so guys aren't even hunting our state anymore. They're going, like, for me, I take guys to Wyoming all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's $48 to go hunt a doe, antelope, or doe deer in Wyoming. So we can go there and shoot two does of each species and come home with a full cooler full of meat, and it costs us the same amount to try to go pursue 1 deer in California. But again, you look at that, and people look at that, and they sit there saying, well, you're not supporting your state. It's not that I'm not supporting my state. It's that I can't afford to hunt in my state. And our state doesn't open up stuff. There's a lot of private property. And so BLM is all landlocked, and a bunch of hippies won't let you cross their boundary line to get to BLM because they think you're going to destroy their pets. They view all the critters as their pets.
Yeah.
So as hard as – I've put in for elk in the state of California for the past 15 years. and haven't gotten drawn. I can go put it in Montana right now and go shoot an elk over counter, Colorado over counter, and it's going to be the same exact price to hunt in my state. So it's as much as I would love to shoot a Thule elk in the state of California, it probably will never happen because I'm fighting on the same reference points as 10,000 other guys.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't realize it was that big of a mess out there. Man, that's insane.
That's why we hunt birds.
Yeah, that's a good idea. It sounds like a good idea.
I can go out puddle shoot ducks all day long.
Yeah.
No one says a word. So I can go call a farmer right now and go shoot as many pigeons as I want.
Yeah.
Off the cattle crap because they're being destructive, and so it's I don't know. It's just one of those deals, you know.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. I think if we came out to Kentucky, you'd see a very different culture as far as how all the everything's set up as far as permits and that kind of thing goes. It's like I said, it's a way cheaper to come out here and do that.
I've hunted tons of states where I'm sitting there going, man, they're like, you just got to get out of your state. I'm like, yeah, but if we all leave our state, it doesn't fix our state.
Right. Yep. That's a good point. That's a good point.
It doesn't fix the problem, and there's so many guys that they're like, whatever, and they bail. And then when I'm sitting there trying to fight for our rights and fight for everything else, nobody is, there's nobody here to help me.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
It's hard because these guys, they just don't get it. They're like, well, yeah, but you don't understand. I go, no, I do understand because I stuck around. And you guys moved to Montana. And as much as I would love to get out, it's hard just for that fact of, I don't want to be that guy that just leaves.
So how does somebody, fight that? Then is it just in the way that you vote, or is there more to it?
There's no way that our voting will ever count.
Yeah.
It's just like the presidency. Like, if you're a Republican in the state of California, you might as well just, throw your ballot in the trash. I mean, I know that sounds bad, but
that's a good point. Yeah.
It doesn't count. Like, it doesn't. No matter what you do, it's not going to count. And so you look at that aspect of it. You look at people we're surrounding ourselves with. I think our biggest thing is just getting people aware that it's what I'm doing. It's not about the head on the wall. It's about the food in the freezer. I've won over a lot of vegans and a lot of vegetarians by a good meal versus the debate of, well, I want to hunt this. And I have the right. We all have the gun right. I'm sick of hearing about it, though.
Mm-hmm.
No one wants to hear about your right. What they want to hear about is the results. And so, yes, we have the right to bear arms, but a lot of these people that have the right to bear arms aren't respecting that right. I mean, we all have the right, the privilege, the right to get a driver's license, but people still drive drunk. And so, it's when people start talking about the ammo laws, they're like, well, yeah, but if we cut down on ammos, we'll cut down on gun shootings. And I was like, no, because the problem is the criminals don't follow the rules.
Yep, that's why they're criminals.
Right. They'll drive to Vegas. They'll go to Bass Pro right across state line. They'll get as much ammo as they want. They'll cross it. They don't care if they get pulled over.
Yeah.
That's not. So what you're doing is you're taking it away from the citizens that are trying to be respectful and trying to follow the rules. And we're trying to get this R3 program, this, mentorship with onset adults really going in all these states on a federal level. And I think that'll help by really focusing on adults. Because I think that's where it is. Everyone focuses on kids and veterans, as good as that is. But in the long run, if you don't have an adult that supports that kid's not going to go to Bass Pro and buy a hunting license by themselves.
Yeah, that's true.
They're not going to drive out. They're not going to drive out to the dove range and shoot dove by themselves. So if you focus on the parent, the kids are going to follow. I mean, my girls are addicted to hunting in the middle of Southern California. They bring venison, lunch meat to school.
That's great.
We're half their friends at school have never even seen a deer.
Yeah.
So you affect the parents and the college age kids. It's going to change the culture because right now I tell everyone, I don't know how old you are, but I'm 36.
Yeah, 27. So I'm a little bit younger.
But my generation was the generation that was brought indoors with Nintendo and TV and internet. And so if we can't change my generation and your generation, then my kids' generation is going to be horrible. And so we don't need to change our kids. We need to change that 40 to 20-year-old range because that's going to change our kids and that's going to change our country. No offense to the old guys. I don't know why we can't change that.
And the ship has sailed.
Yeah, and so for me, it's like everyone asks why I cook wild game and why I do what I do. It's like and why I treat everyone with respect. It's like because if I can change one vegan's mindset, that vegan's going to spread that excitement through the culture. If they went over five and they went over five, they went over five. That's 16 people because I came at them with respect instead of come at them cussing and screaming. You know.
Yeah, that's something that you see a lot of that kind of thing. And I think it has a very negative. It's obviously going to have a very negative outcome because no minds have ever been changed by people yelling and screaming at each other. But you're getting in there and you're actually showing people, like this is where the meat comes from. This is that animal right there is the one that is on your plate now, and it's
right.
It's allowing that connection for people that typically they don't have that kind of connection. They've got this this general disconnect from their food. So we're so used to being able to go to the grocery store and pick up our food, and it's nice, in a bright colored package. Everything's all clean, everything's great, and we don't ever have to think. As a whole, society doesn't have to think. Where did this food come from? And that's something
Right.
that I've really admired about following you, and I've been following you for I don't know probably a year or so now, and they're on Instagram, and that's something that you've really attacked. You've really come straight out, and been very respectful about the way that you have handled hunting and the way that you have handled harvesting meat from an animal and that kind of thing. And that's something I really respect about what you're doing with From Field to Plate.
I appreciate it, man. That's my goal since the beginning is just to get people excited about eating. And I mean, I get told so many times, like, why don't I just go to the grocery store and buy meat like everybody else? And it's like, gosh, man, like, wake up and realize that that cow still had to die.
Yeah.
And that cow lived a way worse life than that deer that I shot.
Right.
Talk about being truly wild and truly organic. Like, there's that big debate right now. Well, what if cows are eating GMO fields and soybeans? It still makes them organic.
Yeah.
It still makes them wild and free. Just because they ate off of a soybean field doesn't make them, a GMO meat. But the people that are screaming that are the ones that are going to McDonald's and eating burgers.
Right. Paying 90 cents for a cheeseburger.
Right. And I go, you're eating processed crap, or those are the people that are getting that Beyond the Meat, that new meatless meat that's out right now. That's
yeah, that's so weird. Sorry, go ahead.
Built in a laboratory.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, yeah, but I'm like, you don't know how much more we're harming the earth by doing that than just shooting a deer. Animals have been consumed since the beginning of time. I mean, you can go back, if you're biblical, you can go back to the beginning of the Bible and look at animals being consumed. If you're not, you can go back to the Neolithic and see animals being consumed. Just like a cave painting, like from thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago. Why all of a sudden is it like, well, hey, we can't do that anymore? Our Earth's dying. The reason our Earth's dying is because we're expanding into their territories, and then they're getting lower numbers, and so yeah, there's less deer. It's not because we're hunting them and we're eating them; it's because we're destroying their habitat. But they don't see that. They want more soy fields so they can have tofu. And if they can get tofu, then they're saving the environment versus they don't realize that they just knocked out, 100,000 acres of rainforest so they can have tofu or palm oil or whatever they want. Their mind is all about the meat and killing a life. And I think that's where they don't get it. You just took how many critters' lives by taking deforestation to the next level.
And what's ironic about that? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No. I think hunters are the true hunters, ethical hunters, are some of the most conservation and globally sound individuals in the world. We're clear cutting dead brush to make the forest thrive so that turkeys have a better habitat in California. So we're cutting every fourth tree down to make more light come into the canopy, to make a healthier canopy, make healthier trees, make healthier ground, so that deer, turkey, rabbits, squirrels have more foliage to eat.
Right.
But we're getting in trouble for cutting down the forest because that's where animals need to live. They don't realize we're not cutting the forest, we're cutting certain trees to make the forest healthier. But all they see is us taking away trees, and then we get in trouble.
Yeah, there's a certain carrying capacity that land has to have, and it's if it overfills that carrying capacity, at some point, the biology that's living there, the living things that are living there, are going to reach a point to where they're no longer able to continue to expand and grow, and that's certainly true with, of course, plants and animals, but it's going to be true with like what you said, turkeys and deer. They're going to need certain spaces where certain browsing foods are going to need to be available. So I mean, there's a point to where we've got to start, being methodical about what we're cutting out. That way, we are able to, like you said, make the land healthier, so that life can continue to grow and continue to repopulate.
Yeah, they don't see that though. They just see
Right.
us as mindless killers.
Right. What's ironic about the whole, vegans that want to clear out land for, soybeans, that kind of thing, just hypothetically wanting to clear out land for that, is that when those soybeans are harvested, what is not typically considered is, how many small game animals are going to be caught up, like rabbits. How many rabbits are going to be caught up in, the combines of a tractor, or, how many grasshoppers or how many bugs. I mean, there's
Field mice.
right. Yeah. Field mice. There's not really a point where, there's not a clear line at which point, this animal is more important or a higher priority than this animal is. This one's cuter, so it has a higher value to us than, that this other animal does. So I think it's just ironic that that is typically an argument that we're, killing these animals, and we could kill a rabbit with a shotgun, but if it's done with a tractor, then we can just kind of oversee it.
Right, and I mean that's the whole debate with fish also.
Right.
Fish right now, people are like all cool with like fish and dead fish and bloody fish pictures because fish don't have feelings. Fish don't like when they said, well, fish don't blink. And I'm like, seriously? Like, fish don't blink. And so that's your motive that fish are okay to kill and slaughter. But whales are mammals, and so we can't hunt whales. Like when I was in Alaska, we were eating whale with that Eskimo tribe, and I got so much hate for that from hunters also. And I'm like, dude, that is their culture. That is their livelihood. That is their right as Eskimos for thousands of years to hunt those whales. And you should see how much they use every single ounce. I mean, even whale oil, which is disgusting. That's how they run their houses. That's how they run their shacks, their cars, their boats. Like they're making gas out of biodiesel from animal waste. And so, but people are like, whales are considered that you can't eat species. Well, fish, it's like, hey, my posts are always flagged. They're always taken down. They're always blocked.
Got sensitive content on them, that kind of thing. Yeah, I've seen a few of those.
If I post a picture of a bloody fish, nothing happens. If I post a picture of a bloody steak, and I say it's a cow, nothing happens. I post that same picture and say it's a deer, and I get flagged for sensitive content. And so I think they're just so caught up in, that instant gratification, keyboard warrior mentality that they don't realize that we're not mindless. We're very methodical in what we do. We only take species and animals a certain number to maintain a healthy population. There's a reason that there's regulations on sizes and species and, the amount, like even bird hunting, you can only take so many male and female ducks. Like they get it. But again, we don't know what we're talking about. We're all stupid. we're all rednecks with raised trucks and shoot stop signs. So
right. Yeah, that's certainly, a negative perception that a lot of hunters get, and I think recently, things with like with what you're doing, and things like Stephen Ranella with Meat Eater, I think a lot of these people that are in the arena that have a lot of eyes on them, they've been able to hopefully they've been able to flip the way people perceive hunters, at least start to flip that perception of hunters, because of, they're showing, the consumption of food. They're showing the whole process, and they're showing, the whole preparation and enjoying the entire hunt. And then, of course, the whole process of field to play, which is what you're all about.
Yeah. And it's cool to see those people and to see where a lot of us have come in the past 3 years, because a lot of us were being made fun of 3 years ago for what we were doing
Yeah.
and what we were eating, and now it's become mainstream. Like someone sent me a thing, 5 years ago I started talking about, or longer than that, 6 years ago I talked about eating hearts and livers and kidneys and caul fat and intestines and all this other stuff, and was made fun of by a lot of hunters. And then they posted, hey, look at this. All the people that made fun of you are now posting pictures of hearts and heart recipes, and it's a cool transition. And I take it as a badge of honor in a sense, where because like myself and Ranella and Scott and some of these other guys who just do what we do and love what we do, that we're getting people excited to eat it and to try it. Once they try it, they like it. I was the only one eating bobcat and coyote and mountain lion, and now meat eaters all about eating it, and there's all these other people that are eating all these cats. And I think it's really cool to show that meat is meat. Like my family right now down in the crock pot down there, I've got a bear roast that we're gonna have pulled bear tacos. Like who does that? A lot of people are just like, oh, I can't eat bear meat.
That's not something you get at the grocery store.
Right. And my kids are all excited. They walk in the house, they're like, oh, the bear smells so good. Yeah. Like that's something that most people don't hear from their kids.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I caught in there where you eat coyote. So tell me, what in the world, like how would somebody go about preparing coyote? Because we got, at least in the area that I live in, and really the whole state in general, I think a lot of the United States actually, now to think about it, but a lot of areas have some issues with coyotes, especially this time of year, taking down fawns and that kind of thing. So rather than, throwing them over in a ditch and just leaving them sitting there, is there an actual process, preference that you have for cooking coyote?
Yeah, I try to stay away from summer coyotes, hot weather coyotes.
Okay.
Because all they're eating is death, stuff that's died in this winter or spring, and so they're usually pretty rancid smelling and tasting. Winter and spring coyotes are the best because they're eating fresh. They're eating grasses. They're eating fresh kills. They're eating, stillbirth fawns and stuff like that. Fresh salmon or fresh fish out of the rivers. They're eating rabbits. They're eating really good. One thing that I've found is once you get your coyote killed and skinned, I like to do the whole gutless method just because I'm not big on predator guts. Mm-hmm. But yeah, take those back legs, take the front shoulders, take the back straps off. I like to soak them in a 50-50 ice and salt water mixture. So it's got 50-50 ice and salt, or ice and water, with a quarter cup of salt per gallon of water, and let those soak overnight. Drain the water, and then let them dry off. And then I grind them, make them into chili. Like I make a 5-alarm like coyote chili that friends request now. Mm-hmm. I make it into jerky, meatballs. You can do pulled coyote in the crock pot. It doesn't grill well. It doesn't smoke well. It doesn't bake well. So a lot of these guys you've seen eat it, like, oh, I tried grilling it. It's going to be horrible. It's a really tough meat. It's really strong flavored meat. So by brining it, you're going to leach out all that blood and all that funk. And then by slow cooking it or grinding it, you're allowing the meat to cook with seasons and spices rather than dry out. But yeah, I have 2 coyotes in my freezer right now from winter that I'm going to be making into, I think, coyote summer, like jalapeno summer sausage here in a couple days. So anything you can do with ground meats, you can do with coyote meat. Again, those summer coyotes, they're rank.
Yeah, stay away from those.
Yeah. So, but those cold weather coyotes, and you can eat them all day long. And I've had people that were blown away that have tried it. Some of my methods are like, dude, they're phenomenal. So, especially when you start shooting those young pups in the spring, mm-hmm. Those guys, you can grind that whole thing up and get like 5 pounds of meat and just make some sausages out of it.
Man, that's interesting. I'm definitely going to have to highlight that one in the show notes, because that's something that is, I've seen some people do. I've seen you do. I've seen some other people do it, and I've just never. That's not something I've really adventured into. But now I've got the idea over here. That may be something I have to try this winter and this upcoming spring.
Like I tell everybody, here's the deal: you're going to shoot it and leave it anyway. So why not shoot it and try back leg?
Yeah, that makes sense.
If you don't like it, then you don't like it. And I have a rule, and I've said this to some of the leaders of our industry. I remember when Will Primos didn't want to try some of my bobcat. And I literally put my hand out and said, if you don't like it, you can spit it in my hand. You know, and you were back for thirds. And so that's the biggest thing, man. If you don't like it, great. I'm not going to hold it against you. I understand you're killing it for the fawn control, for everything else, and for these competitions that these hunters have, and they go shoot 100 up. I get it. Like, some states are just overrun. But if you're going to go out and you're out turkey hunting and a coyote walks by and you pop it, and you're going to take, you know, and you want to just leave it, that's fine. But at least try it. I mean, it takes nothing to get your knife out and cut off a back ham to at least brine it, throw it in a crock pot, and just give it a go. But like I said, if you don't like it, then shoot them and leave them. I don't care.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's a very good point. That's a very good point. And whenever you first tried coyote, was it something that, you know, you wanted to try for that purpose, or was it something that you're just feeling adventurous or on a dare, like you said? What really inspired you to try it the first time?
Whenever someone says that something's inedible, my job is to prove them wrong.
Yeah.
And I was hearing all these things that you can't eat coyotes, you can't eat coyotes, you can't eat coyotes, you can't eat coyotes. So I was like, you know what, screw it. We were in the first one I shot. It was winter here in California, as you can say, but it was up in the mountains, so it was snowy. And I shot a coyote, and I skinned it because it had a beautiful coat. And I was like, the meat didn't smell bad, didn't smell rotten, didn't smell sour, didn't smell like a normal coyote. And meat was really clean. So I was like, you know what, screw it. So I took off the back hams, and the front shoulders didn't have much meat, but I took those, and I took the back straps and took the hide and the head. And I came home, and I just brined it, and then I made a chili with it. And we had a bunch of friends over for dinner. I didn't tell them what we were having. And a lot of them are hunters, and they know that everything they eat at my house is wild. And they ate, and they went back for thirds and seconds. And then I showed them a video of me grinding the coyote meat and making chili. And all of them were like, oh, it was pretty good. Like, not one of them was like, oh, you're such a jerk. And it literally just came, like I said, it came out of the people saying you can't eat it. And I was like, well, prove it. Like, and then people saying, you know, black bear is horrible. Prove it. People saying that all livers are disgusting. Well, I'll make dishes, you know, that utilize liver rather than just eating liver, like making a boudin, which usually takes pig liver, mixes it into a sausage. Well, instead of taking pig liver, take deer liver, take antelope liver, take elk liver, and utilizing the liver rather than just like a liver and onions, which most people aren't going to like. But how can we utilize that meat to be effective and be tasty? And so that's how it came about. And bobcat was the same way. We were out hunting bobcat, and the guy was like, well, this sucks. You can't eat this meat. And I was like, why can't we eat the meat? Well, I heard it's gross. And I was like, have we tried it? He's like, nope. I was like, all right. So I made like barbacoa out of it. And crock pot was completely empty at the end. I was like, well, I guess I'm eating coyotes for the rest of my life. And so we were in Canada, and they were talking about wolf, how no one will eat wolf, and wolf's disgusting, and blah, blah, blah. Someone shot a wolf, they brought it back, and I cut it up, and we made wolf. I made like a teriyaki sauce, and we, you know, kind of deep fried this wolf with teriyaki sauce, and everyone ate wolf. And they're like, oh, well, wolf was pretty good. And so I think it's, once we get past that stigma of it's inedible, then it becomes edible. And we get past the factor of like, as I say, the you factor of the American people, that food becomes delicious, and we look at it as nothing more than food.
I think a lot of people, they get intimidated. I guess myself included on occasion, they get intimidated by, you know, certain animals. And just because, like you said, they have some kind of stigma that has, I don't know, evolved or has been passed down over the years. And those animals, they just kind of get thrown in with this category, they're just inedible. And I think it's great that you've been able to do that. I mean, how long has it taken you to get to the point that you're at right now, to where you're willing to get in there, and you have the skills and the knowledge to be able to take these animals that, you know, have this certain stigma, or just animals in general, and be able to cook them and make these awesome, delicious dishes that you do? How long has it taken you to do that?
I think right when Field of Play started is where I started doing things, because we're out duck hunting, and, you know, we have a bunch of diver ducks and coots that no one wants to shoot, no one wants to do anything with, because they taste like mud. And I watched all these Asians shoot all these diver ducks, and like they'll track, because you can shoot 25 coots in California during duck season, and these guys are coming with trash bags, just filling trash bags with coot. And so I walked up and was like, dude, what the heck are you guys making with these mud ducks, man? They taste like dirt. And so he explained like this Asian recipe to me. And so I was like, all right, cool. And I wrote down what I could. I went home and I tried it, and it was edible. And I went, okay. So just because we've been taught for so long that something's gross doesn't necessarily make it gross. And just because we don't understand how to cook it doesn't mean that we shouldn't cook it. Because I'm an Irish boy, so I grew up eating a lot of plain food. You know, once I got married, I married my wife who was a very adventurous palate, and it really opened up my eyes to different flavors that my family just never ate. Not that we didn't want to, we just didn't do it because of the fact that that's not how my parents were raised. It's not how we were raised. And so looking at this Asian culture where they used a lot of fish sauces and gingers and all these really strong, powerful flavors, they in a sense elevated instead of masking, where I think a lot of times we try to mask the flavor of these animals. They really elevated it. And then I was down in Louisiana, and this guy was taking the same coots, and he was making andouille sausage out of them to throw them into jambalaya. What better way to eat a fishy duck than in a fishy soup?
Yeah.
You know, and he was making gumbos and jambalayas, and I'm like, man, I never thought about using fishy stuff in a fishy recipe. Instead, we try to cook a diver duck that tastes like dirt, like we would a mallard. When it's different animals, different flavors, different texture. Same thing, you're not going to cook a mountain lion the same way you would a wild boar. You're not going to cook a black bear the same as you would an elk. There's different techniques that come with that meat. And I think once you're comfortable to ask for help and ask somebody else that knows, I think that's where it really starts to blossom and bloom. So many people are so scared that if they ask for help, that they're stupid.
Right.
That they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're doing. And for me, it's like, if I ask for help, it's because I want to know and I want to grow. You know, my grandpa always said, if you're not learning, you're dying. If you're not growing, then you're dead. And I think that really plays into it. We think like, well, I know how to cook it, so I'm not going to ask for help, even though my wife won't eat it, my kids won't eat it. So I'm just going to keep frying the same backstrap the same way I'm frying it. So
yeah, you've seen a lot of good backstraps go to the fryer because of that. They just don't know. People just don't have either that or wrapped up in bacon. Wrap everything in bacon just to try to mask the flavor.
Don't even get me started with poppers. I get made fun of by a lot of the guys in the industry because I have yet to ever make a popper, and I think I will never make a popper.
Yeah.
not for the fact that I think they're bad, but there's so many beautiful things you can do with wild game to disguise it in bacon. And here's the deal. When you're making poppers, you're overcooking all the meat because you have to cook bacon. And so then you're eating shoe leather wrapped in bacon, jalapeno, and cream cheese. And people are like, well, that's just how I've always eaten it. It's like, great, eat it that way. But you're taking the most beautiful cuts of backstrap and sirloins off the back ham, and you're making jerky or you're frying it. And again, if that's what your family likes, do it all day long. But if that's what you're doing because that's all you know, change it up. Figure it out, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big proponent of always being a student, like you said. You know, the idea of always learning. If you get to a point to where you feel like you have everything figured out, or if you get to the point where you no longer want to learn anything, you really, like you said, you start to die almost. You know, intelligently. You start to die emotionally. There's a certain point that you reach that you aren't functioning the way that we're intended to be. We're intended to keep learning. We're intended to always be students, and that is definitely true when it comes to especially hunting and then taking care of the meat and enjoying the entire experience of the hunt. So I think that whole always being a student idea is something that a lot of people miss, and not just in hunting, but I mean, just life in general. But it's something that a lot of people miss, I think. And it's great that you kind of touched on that, because that's what I was thinking there. Because there's got to be a certain element of trial and error as far as, you know, taking these different cuts of meat and trying to figure out how to cook them. And I get the sense that a lot of people would probably try it one time, maybe if they worked up the guts to do it one time, maybe try it one time, and then if it didn't go quite the way they wanted it to, then not come back to it. But I'm sure there's got to be a certain element of trial and error when you're trying to figure out how to cook these kind of cuts of meat.
Oh yeah, and And that's where a lot of people say, like, I spent so much time and effort to get this animal. I don't want to screw it up, so I'm not gonna screw it up, and I'll just stick to what I know. But I think when you follow my recipes, when you follow some of these other wild game chef recipes, we've been the ones that have made the mistakes for you. And once you can learn from our mistakes and you kind of see the way that we're doing stuff, then it opens up your world to be creative. I'm not asking you to go out there and kill a coyote and figure out how to cook it by yourself. I'm asking you to go out there and kill a coyote and trust that I've worked out the methods to make a delicious meal. And once you realize that the basic elements of what it takes to clean and prepare that animal, then that opens up a whole world for you to do. I mean, I had some guy that said he now uses coyotes in his hamburger helper. He goes to the store and buys a box of hamburger helper and puts coyote in that, and he's a college kid and loves it. Because he took the time to clean it and grind it, and now he's like, he uses it as his grind in hamburger helper, where he's not wasting his venison on his hamburger helper now. He's using coyote, he's using bobcat, he's using all these other cuts that he used to not utilize for a quick and easy dinner rather than a beautiful steak or a stuffed backstrap, whatever he's doing. He's utilizing that said trash meat as filler meat because he understood the method behind it.
If somebody is interested in, learning how to do these types of things, what kind of resources do you offer, and what kind of resources do you recommend for somebody that's wanting to learn how to handle these different types of meats?
I think right now there's really no one out there that's throwing that stuff out there. I'm creating a whole new YouTube series this next year called Doughty for Dinner. And in there, it's going to be a lot of how-tos on questions that people have asked me in the past. And one of them is going to be predator, how to properly dress and clean coyote and bobcat and what to look for in diseases and that kind of stuff, as well as how to utilize these better cuts and meals and recipe planning. And it's really going to be an in-depth YouTube. That's the kind of the one area that I've been lacking in. And I've been getting a lot of people that are like, can you please just put out videos? So I've worked through it. Got a buddy who's going to film it all. He's an amazing filmographer. And I think it's all going to come down to just people asking. I mean, I've got a 100% success rate or response rate on social media. So just reach out. I'm always there to answer a question. I'm always there to give insight and input and emails. And I know I'm a super busy guy, but I always find time to check up and to talk. So
yeah, that's awesome. You said it was Doughty for Dinner. You said, and that's on YouTube.
Yeah, that's what I'll be starting here in the fall.
Okay, I got you. I'll put is a link available right now? Because I can go ahead and put that into the show notes. Okay.
I just got the name, so actually all locked down. It was being used by some organic pig farmer.
Okay.
That hasn't used YouTube in like 7 years, and so I fought for it. And they sent him a bunch of emails, he never responded, so I finally got it. So it'll be up here. We've got like 4 episodes in the bag right now that we're going to be putting out here in August, early September. And from there, we're going to start going on people asking questions, and we're going to put videos out on their questions and their answers. So we're trying to keep them simple, stupid, and easy. And in the middle of there, I've got a bunch of really cool guests that we're going to go and hunt and fish alongside them and tell their story through food, and really not focus so much on the kill, but focus on the after. So we're going to be. I've got some professional hockey players lined up. We've got NASCAR racers lined up. People that you would not even know hunted. That hunt are scared to talk about hunting because of where they are in their life. And so we're going to go in there and say, hey, let's talk about food, and hunting is just part of it.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. So, I'm definitely going to have to check that out, me personally, and then I'll be sure to share that around on my pages and that kind of thing. That sounds like it's going to be an awesome thing you've got scheduled here. And you said that's going to be available this fall?
Yep, that is the goal as of right now. So
awesome. Okay, that's great. You've also got these from field to plate courses that you teach also, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so where are those done?
Those are done right now in South Texas. I'm working on trying to get them in a couple different states. The problem is that the states it's being difficult. But I know we're trying to do like a bird class in Nebraska this year or next year. We're trying to do some classes in California. But the main thing for these classes is to get people excited, again, in that range I was talking about, that 40 to 20-year-old range. or even older, 50s, to get those people excited who have never hunted or have hunted but don't know what they're doing, to get out and learn the basics and learn how to do stuff. So I take, from the moment you get off the plane, you come to the ranch, and we have a weapons training class. We have a weapons training class, which is, if you're a rifle hunter, you learn how to hunt and shoot a rifle. If you're a bow hunter, we've got, people that are versed in archery, and they'll sit there and work on your mechanics for archery. Then you go out and you hunt a doe. So we're not about trophies. It's all about meat. So you go hunt a big mature doe because you're getting the same amount of meat off some of these coal bucks. And it never comes back from hunting, and you learn how to skin, how to gut, how to butcher over the next couple of days. And then every night you're learning how to do a different recipe. So recipes are based on the classes. So what I do is, people that sign up for the class, I send them an email. Hey, what are some recipes that you want to learn? And then we make recipes based on what they want to learn and how to cook it, how to prepare it. And we all sit down. We all have a big dinner together every night around fire, or around, a lot of people have a bottle of wine or whiskey. And yeah, that goes. They're 4-day courses, and it's big game. I think we're going to try to do one waterfowl class this year also, where you're going to come in and learn how to, basics of calling, basics of dog handling, basics of decoy spread, field hunting, water hunting, proper gun maintenance on and off the field. With shotguns, you'll learn how to shoot shotguns and skeet. And then you'll also be able to learn the different techniques of how to clean it, wild ducks. So whatever you shoot, you learn how to pluck them, skin them, or breast them, depending on whatever you feel comfortable with. And then learning how to cook proper duck recipes and take home meat to your family after all of them.
So you really are covering all the bases. I mean, when you say from field to plate, you are literally going from field to plate. You're kind of covering. It's an all inclusive class that you're really covering here, because you even mentioned how to handle a dog and that kind of thing when it comes to waterfowl. That's pretty extensive. That's pretty awesome that you've got all those things. You've thought that far ahead as far as wanting to provide the best product for the students that are signing up for your class.
Yeah, and even for the waterfowl, they're going to have to set up their own ground blind.
Yeah.
On the water's edge, and understand the depth of a blind. And for a deer, they understand. We sit there and they have to watch deer for an hour before they can shoot a deer. Mm-hmm. So I want them to learn the mechanics of a deer and how a deer works. And we go through anatomy school, where I've got a deer and we go through the anatomy of a deer. We got a dead deer that we show them all the mechanics of how to shoot a deer properly. I mean, I've had 98 people go through the classes so far, between antelope and deer. And out of those 98 people, I think there's only been 3 that are not hard shots. So when you take the time to teach someone the mechanics of a gun and proper shot placement, I mean, we only had 1 wounded animal that we finally tracked down and found out of those 98 people. That's even a better rate than an average hunter.
Yeah, definitely.
And so it's all about, man, there's been times where I have people in the blind and their buck fever is so big that I reach over, turn the safety on, take the gun out of their hands, and say, you're not shooting a deer today, until you can learn to calm yourself down. And you can really, one guy, he got so buck fever that he didn't even shoot a deer the whole time, but we shot a deer for him. He just couldn't bring himself to it, Yeah. And then he went home and he shot his first deer on his, with his family, because he had learned all the mechanics of how to calm himself down. But we still had a deer for him to practice on, and he learned how to gut, skin, butcher. He took home that whole deer. He just couldn't bring himself to shoot a deer while he was at camp. So it's very respectful. It's very mindful to the average hunter. I've had people that have never touched a firearm before in their life shoot a deer and harvest a deer. I've had people who have been hunting since they were 12 come out and go, man, I've learned so much, just in the butchering and hunting aspect of it together. So it literally covers from the person that just is like, I'm really interested in this, to someone that's like, I've been hunting forever, I just want to know more. And we're going to gear that towards you. I'm going to put you with a guide who is geared towards you. If you're a big hunter and you just want to sit with talk with someone and learn the process of butchering and skinning, I'm going to put you with a guy who's just going to go out there and help you shoot better. If you're a rookie who's never touched it, I'm going to sit in the blind with you personally and walk you through shooting that deer. It's fun, and the classes should be up here in the next 2 weeks on fieldtoplate.com under the store. You can click it and buy it. They're $2,700. So that includes everything from the moment you get off the plane to the moment you leave. So things that aren't included are airfare and your license. Everything else, from ammo and weapons, are included unless you want to bring your own ammo, your own gun. Like say you want to learn on your dad's old Win Mag, bring your Win Mag. But otherwise, we've got bow equipment, we've got guns, we've got ammo supplied for everybody. Includes lodging, all your meals, all your butchering classes, all your hunting. It includes your deer fee. It includes transportation to and from the airport. It includes all the vacuum sealing of all your animals that you personally get to do and learn, as well as some swag from different companies that give stuff. But for that price, you can't really beat it. People say I need to charge more, but that's literally like the minimum of what it costs. I'm really not making any money off of it just because I want people to learn. But between the ranch fees and food is where most of the money goes. So.
Man, that's pretty incredible. You're able to offer something like that, and that's really neat. I'm definitely going to be sure to put that link to that in the show notes for sure. That way people can access it straight from the show notes there on the podcast page.
And I keep it small, man. I only have 4 to 5 people per class because it needs to be hands-on. It needs to be small. It needs to be intimate.
Yeah, you got that intimate element that you throw in there with that.
And last year they filled up in the first week. So I think the first 2 classes filled up the first day I opened it. And then the middle class, which usually during the week took a little while. But yeah, every class filled up within the first week and a half, 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. There, as we're winding down here, there were actually 2 questions I wanted to ask you. The first one, before I get to my closing question that I always ask my guests, first one is, what is your favorite dish to cook, and why that dish?
That's like telling me to pick my favorite kid. I have one. Just don't tell the other daughter. Gosh, I think my favorite, I get asked this all the time, and every time I pick a new dish because it is my favorite for that time. But I think just simple boned-in backstrap with, I have a simple marinade called my super juice. That's what people started calling it, so that's what I call it now. But marinated that, and then a hot cast iron skillet, cooked medium rare with some Brussels sprouts and green beans. Just, there's something about just beautifully cooked, seared, medium rare venison. If I had to make a dish for a friend that was coming over for their last meal, that's what I would make. It's just a beautiful boned-in venison rack, just sliced medium rare, just simple, beautiful, elegant flavors that literally your 5-year-old can make and make it delicious.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really simple. Pretty much all it is backstraps with half the rib bone attached to it, and a quarter of the vertebrae.
How does somebody keep the bone in? I mean, is it you just use a saw, or does it just slide out with cartilage? Or
no, you could. Some guys use saws, some guys use knives. I like to use rose pruners. I've got videos and stuff on how to do that up on Instagram that people can check out. But it's super, super simple, super easy, and once you do it, it changes everyone's mind, and that's the only way they ever eat backstrap now. Like I said, it's really funny. I got made fun of for starting that years and years and years ago, and now it's like plastered all over Instagram.
Yeah.
Like all the professional hunters, all the professional people are like, hey, look at this. This is what we've been doing for years. I'm like, no, you haven't. But it's fun to see a cut that is beautiful, and what it does is it really, you can make those little tomahawks, those little, they almost look like little pork chops or lamb chops when they're cooked. And so, again, we're talking about introducing people to wild game. That really is a way to introduce people because it looks like food that they already know. They already know lamb chops. They already know bone and pork chops. They already know tomahawks. And so it really opens the door for them saying, wow, this is something that I recognize. And so they're a lot more willing to try it when it looks beautiful rather than just like, hey, I fried up a steak, try this. It looks elegant. It tastes beautiful. And I've had people that are like, yeah, I don't eat rare to medium rare meats. Like, just take a bite. They're like, yeah, this is delicious.
Mm-hmm.
So when it's done properly, it has no wild flavor, no gamey taste, no nothing. So
that's awesome, man. That's awesome. I appreciate you taking the time today. I do have one more question here, and this is a question that I asked all my guests that are on the show, and I kind of get a variety of different answers from this question, and all of them have been great so far. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with here. So my question for you here as we close out is, what does hunting mean to you?
What does hunting mean to me? I think hunting means to me just a freedom of knowing where my food comes from. People can talk about family and friends and oneness with stuff and all those other things, but I think for me it's just a freedom to know what's going in my family's mouth. it's a freedom for me to get out there and pursue my dinner, to get dirty for dinner, to get from field to plate, all those fun things that are doing it. And think hunting for me is truly that. It's a freedom to just do it. It's no one's telling me how to cut that piece of meat. No one's telling me how to cook that piece of meat. No one's telling me where I need to buy that cut of meat or how much I need to pay for that cut of meat. It literally boils down to me and that animal and me outsmarting my dinner. And if I can outsmart my dinner, then I'm going to eat. If I can't, then I'm going to, eat a tortilla. And I think that's what it boils down to is when I go hunting, it's about me and my dinner and which one of us is going to starve or which one of us is going to, is going to fill the freezer. And that's how I look at it. And that's why that trophy mindset never, ever comes into play. Like I shot a black bear in Canada last week, or in Alaska. I was hunting in Alaska, and I shot a black bear. And the camera guy looks over at me and goes, what was going through your mind? And I was like, how many meatballs I can make out of it? And he goes, excuse me? I go, that's all I was thinking about, really. When that bear walked in, I was like, I can make meatloaf, I can make summer sausage, I can make... He goes, you weren't thinking of anything else? I go, no, to be honest with you, that's all I was thinking about. Like as I was taking a deep breath, I was thinking about all the beautiful meals I could make with that bear. And I think that's a cool thing that you can look at an animal and just see dinner. It also kind of sucks when you're walking through Disneyland and a duck flies over and you're like, I wonder what I could do with that duck. My wife's like, focus. So I think, for me, it's just a freedom of my dinner and me, and a freedom of what my family eats. And just a freedom.
That's great. That's a great answer. You've really changed, you're really in the process of changing that idea of trophy hunting, because obviously when somebody hears trophy hunting, they think of, a variety of different things. They think of big antlers. They think of, some kind of exotic animal or something, but the trophy to you is what ends up on your plate. And I definitely can respect that.
Yeah, man. The trophy is the 3 freezers I have downstairs that are packed full of meat that go. I had a buddy that just came over today, earlier, this afternoon, and came in. He's like, what can I take? So whatever you want. He grabbed, elk and deer and a duck and said, thanks, man, and left. Mm-hmm. My friends are now utilizing my garage as a grocery store. And that makes me happy because they're not wanting to go out and buy meat. But some of these people can't go out and hunt physically or ethically. They can't go out and hunt in their own mind. But they have nothing against coming and eating fresh, organic, shot meat. So
right.
There's a freedom in that, too, knowing that you can feed your friends and your family off of a passion and a career choice that you made.
Man, that's great. I appreciate you, man. This was a really good talk. I appreciate you taking the time. I know you had some issues with traffic there and that kind of thing, but I'm really glad we were able to get this worked out and be able to get this going here.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. So, where can listeners, people who are going to listen to this, where can they follow you and everything that you're doing? I mean, I don't know how active you're on Facebook or just social media. Where can people check you out?
Yeah. From field to plate. I mean, that's pretty much all of it. I just start on Facebook. I got a Facebook page and a private Facebook group. The Facebook group is geared towards individuals sharing wild game food. There's no trophy pictures. There's no he said, she said. It's all just beautiful pictures of food and questions about food. So you can join that group, or you can follow From Field to Plate on Facebook, From Field to Plate on Instagram, From Field to Plate on Pinterest. Go on there, and I've got a lot of recipes pinned on there for all you ladies listening. FromFieldToPlate.com, and then on Twitter, because it's apparently I have too many characters. It's From Field 2 Plate on Twitter. But yeah, you can hit me up on any one of those platforms, and we could chit chat and talk. And again, like I said, I'm an open book, and I'm going to come at you and answer any question that you have. And if I don't have the answer, I know a lot of people that might know the answer that I can. I'm all about pawning you off on someone that knows it rather than lying and saying I do. So.
That's awesome. I appreciate you taking the time to talk tonight, and I'm sure over on the West Coast right now, it's probably getting pretty close to time to eat dinner.
Yep, I'm smelling that black bear in the crock pot right now.
So. There you go. Well, I guess I better let you go then. But again, thank you for talking with me this evening. I appreciate it. I think this was a really good talk. All right, man. I appreciate it, then.